Well, hopefully you had a chance to move around, to connect with those that you came with, or get prayer, take communion, or maybe just sit and contemplate. That rhythm's something we're wanting to help invest in our time, where we're not just sitting waiting for information, but we're receiving the stories of Jesus resurrected and responding and letting those transform us. And so it takes a little bit of a shift, but thank you for being with us as we do that. My name is Andy, and we're going to continue talking about practices of doing the thing that Jesus said, hey, do this and you're going to find the good life, not the perfect life, but you're going to find the good life in me. And we are focusing on the practice of Sabbath this month. Last week, we simply began, and those steps were find a time, hopefully at least a 3 or 4 hour slot, choose a time, be intentional, carve out the space, and choose 1 to 3 of these Sabbath activities that we had on the board. And so if that's new to you or you're just catching up, you could start this week and do that exact same thing. I think we even have a slide. You could see some of that. But the idea is that we want to become a community of rest in resistance to a culture of hurry and exhaustion through the practice of Sabbath. All these practices we're talking about do have some degree of resistance or response to the pervading culture or the powers or the internal brokenness that we as humans walk through. And so if you're anything like me, you may sit down and ask somebody when you have coffee, like, hey, how was your week? And the first thing they're gonna say, oftentimes we just like to say it, is, oh man, it's been busy. Oh man, I'm busy. And we like to, hold that up, and whatever badge, I'm the wave the badge of, oh yeah, I'm busy. It proves that I'm doing something, useful. And rest, and the Sabbath practice of rest, is standing in response to that kind of spirit of constantly going and constantly doing. And that's what we're going to talk about briefly and share some of my story in that and continue that. So that's our aim. If you're wondering why we're doing this, we want to be a community, not just on our own individuals, but together. So this is something that we're doing together. Maybe you did it last week. How did that go? Maybe it was yesterday. No one has to raise their hand. You're like, hey, how did that go? And we didn't do it. It's fine. It took us, and I didn't grow up in this kind of practice, and Andrea and I have been doing it for 3 years, and it was a mess almost every Saturday as we tried to set aside time into Sunday. It's like they say this when you learn anything new or you put any kind of keystone habits into your life, it's like a J curve where you start out and it gets worse. I mean, anybody tried Sabbath this week and it started off and maybe it was awesome, I don't know. For us, it starts out and it gets worse before you catch a groove, and maybe that has something to do with the way you might step into solitude or a prayer practice or reading the scripture in a different way, whatever those might be. Oftentimes when we put our intention to it, it's fine when it's not there, we're cruising, but the second we put our focus or our attention to something, it's like fall off a cliff and we're like, man, I am the worst at this. Am I even following Jesus? I think Sabbath is one of those things that kind of points that out. It points that out in me. It points that out in us. So our focus this week is the word rest. So in Sabbath, you stop, you rest, you delight. Ooh, that's a good one. Who's preaching that one? Oh, Brian's got that one. Dang it. You stop, you rest, you delight, and you worship are just kind of 4 big categories. And so this week we're going to be talking about rest. Talking about work and rest, excuse me. I'm working off a cough here, so hopefully I will have enough oxygen to make it through. So in Genesis 2, this is where we kind of start this rhythm. And we're going to go through the whole Bible by the end of this next 10 minutes. Ryan's like, that's not the time I carved out. But in Genesis 2, as you may have read, In this epic story of creation, we find a God, a creator, that puts in place a 6-1 rhythm. And he says, by the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work because he was really tired. People are like, that was a joke, come on. Like, seriously, why did he do it? That's the question we should be asking, why? Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. That's our invitation. God set a creative rhythm in life for us, but it's coming from his life, not from our life. His rhythm, his way of doing things is coming into our way of doing things, and he sets it before us. A 6-1 rhythm. The funny thing about that, I did not know this, but that time frame, that 7-day week, every major civilization, every major society since the beginning of time has lived with a 7-day week. Now, some people have tried little things, and maybe during the French Revolution, they tried to do something weird. I read about that, and it didn't work. Everything fell apart. But for the most part, that 7-day week, though it's not tied to anything in the stars, like the day is basically when we tie our day's pace 24 hours as the sun moves around, the earth rotates and all that stuff, right? Or the month, it's based off more of like a lunar calendar, like the idea of the phases of the moon. That's what we base our month time frame off. Or even the year, how long it takes us to do the one full loop. All those things seem to be tied to something you could see, but the 7-day week, staying in our rhythm, was created specifically to be held from God the Creator into our lives. So what I found for me, as I've worked against that, it's like I'm fighting against the natural rhythm and created life that he has for me, and things fall apart. I didn't know that. We were having a thing at our Sabbath dinner last night. We were trying to do a dinner, right? And the question was, what would you tell your 16-year-old self if you're like 47, or the opposite, if you're like 16 or 17, there's some teenagers, what would you tell your 47-year-old self? And I told myself, I'm like, all these funny things, but then I thought, the one thing I would tell myself when I'm like 19 or 20, when I can make the call on what my life looks like a little bit more, my parents are awesome, but when I can make the call, I wish I would have started this rhythm. Like anything else. I love going to church, not going to church, not doing all these things, but the rhythm of this would have changed so much of my journey. And so he's formed in me, but that pickup of that rhythm for us in my family and for me specifically has changed everything. But it started from God Sabbathing, God choosing. He didn't need rest. He didn't work to rest. That's my plan. Work hard enough so you deserve rest. He wasn't in this deserve process. He was God. The problem is, I think for me, and we're going to talk about this briefly, is when you choose to rest and you choose Sabbath, you're going to hit resistance. That's just the way it is. Resistance is here. And so the problem is that those forces are working to dehumanize me, to change me into a beast of burden, to point us back to when they shared the original instructions to keep the Sabbath. And remember the Sabbath, it was going to a people who had been slaves. It was sent to a people who had been conquered and in captivity by the powers of the world. The society, the empire, telling them, you are no more than a beast of burden. You are only what you can give to society. You're only what you have in your possessions. You're only what you can accomplish through your life. And that's the power that is pushing against you and I externally. That's just one side of it. Every time we choose to practice a rest with Jesus in Sabbath. Jesus said the Sabbath was made for man. We're not made for the Sabbath. It was this kind of thing. It was a gift to be taken and partaken in. So for me, if you don't know me, I am a doer. If you haven't met, my shadow mission is to work really hard to prove myself to you and others that I'm deserving of love and in the same way deserving of rest. That would be my shadow, like I'm a little bit off mission, you know? That's not the real mission, but that's kind of like if I just take myself down this long path, maybe you have some side quest of your life that you see that happening over and over again. For me, to do is to earn something. So I think of work and the rest equation, those two things, I don't think of them as equal. Like work does something to me. Like I get stronger or I show somebody that I can do something. What does rest do to me? Then one day, no, that's good. I heard this song a few years ago, and it's kind of ripped off to be part of an Enneagram thing, but the song is so much what we're talking about. And there's a phrase in it that said, work and rest equally revered. And it was like, it just cut my heart. So for a few moments, I just want to share a little bit of my kind of process. The pattern for me is not rest until I work really hard, then I can have what I would call like free time or leisure time. That was the pattern for me. And so I thought rest and leisure are the same thing. Leisure is free time and you can do stuff with it, but rest is an intentional act of restoring of the things in my soul that need to be restored, not because I worked hard, not because I earned it, but because that's the rhythm. There's a day and there's a night. There's seasons. There's tides that come and go, as Ryan loves for me to talk about. Things moving and going. God created so much of that to visibly show us that we're not limitless. We're not made to just keep going. I'm not made to keep going and going and going and going, even if it's doing great stuff. Like I'm serving the Lord. Well, serve the Lord in your rest is what he was inviting me to. But I would get really, as I'm working hard to earn, my leisure time would be my own, and you better not mess with it. Any interruptions? This is my time. Any guys here like, this is my time. I want to watch my game. I want to do my thing. This is my time. Yeah, this is our time down here. This is not their time up there. Goonies. Leave me alone. Guys. And so I confuse leisure and rest, of course, but regardless of the way I viewed it, I never saw it as useful or revered or equally honored as work. Again, work gets me something, money or whatever, accomplishment. Work proves something in my equation. It proves who you are. Maybe I'm just talking to like two guys in this room with me or two women, like, I don't know, but we may all have some degree of this. Work identifies that I'm worth something. To me, rest didn't do any of that. If I work really hard and show that if I didn't do that work, it didn't get done, that means I'm indispensable. And I love being indispensable because that's worth something. Man, if there's any practice that shows you that you're not indispensable, that you are dispensable, it's the practice of Sabbath. When you just cut out and all of a sudden you're like, oh, everything kept going on without me. Jesus said he's the creator and the holder of everything together, and it just kept going. I didn't get that, but that was my journey. If I came to a weekend, this is pre-Sabbath Andy a little bit, you could see me after church Sunday morning where I just worked to prove a lot of things to a lot of people, and I'd go sit on my couch because this is my time now. Sunday afternoon, hey, not calling anybody out. This is just Andy's story. And I would turn on the football game. This is Andy's story, not your story. Don't feel judged, okay? I'd be a little bit annoyed at my family trying to come and interrupt me. I'd take my food over there because I want to watch the game. I just want to settle in. I've worked hard for this. I deserve this. This leisure that I have earned. And I'd slowly close my eyes, because you're tired, and if you've not learned to rest ever, then your body's just going to catch up with you anyways. So I can barely keep my eye open to watch the fourth quarter of a game I said that was so important to me. I can barely watch it. I'm falling asleep, especially if the score's really spread out. I'm just zoning out. And I wake up like 30 minutes later, an hour later, just sitting on the couch like a zombie. I'm just exhausted. My body just feels blah. I'm like, where are my family at? And they went and did something. They're out living life. And I'm like, well, I'm enjoying rest and leisure time. This is important. That was my pre-Sabbath Andy. And I would call that rest. Because immediately as I woke up, maybe like you and some of us, I'd be like, oh, it's Sunday, it's 4:00. Monday's tomorrow. Oh, I got to do some stuff tonight to be ready for Monday. Oh, did I miss some texts? Oh, did I miss some? Oh, I have a bunch of emails I got to respond to. I haven't done those. Oh, I didn't do the lawn. I got to do that thing to show. And I just start spinning the Rolodex. And all of a sudden, I'm back to Monday. And that was rest, what I called rest. No wonder I didn't revere it. That's not restful at all. My soul wasn't lifted up. My body wasn't restored. My heart wasn't pointed in a direction that it wanted. I just let it go wherever it wants. I followed whatever the football game did, or the millions of ads that pop up along the way. I didn't value it. It wasn't revered. It wasn't equal in my mind, because that's what I thought rest was. Then I read about Jesus saying, come to me, all you who are weary, and I will give you rest. And I kind of am thinking, I don't know, like you, well, Jesus, you're not telling us not to work, right? Like, we're supposed to keep working. So like, what's this rest thing? Are you saying that like, if I come to you, I don't have to work anymore? Like, there's a big weird equation in my head about work and rest and who's worth it if you work. And I'm like, as you study that, as you dive into it just briefly, he is teaching us a way to work that is restful and a way to rest that does work on our souls. That's what he's inviting us to in that moment. So he's not saying, Andy, stick your head in the sand, stop working. That's something I made you to do. That's something I made you to be, to contribute and give your life away to the people around you. And I'm like, hoorah, that's my thing. And I made you to be restored in your depths of your soul, to just simply be loved and worth love by doing nothing. Both things. And he lifts those up, and the phrase from that song that hits me so good is work and rest equally revered. And there's a couple more lines from it. Throw that up there, Christian. It's just such a great little line of stuff. And it says, this is the very last part. Now I want what's real. So let my heart feel what it feels, and that rest. Gold, silver, or bronze hold no value here, where work and rest are equally revered. I only want what's real. I set aside the highlight reel to prove myself, and even let my greatest failures on display, because I'm worthy of love anyway. Man, that line just hit me. And so it's not maybe it's an Enneagram 3 song, but this is an us song. Work and rest equally revered. That's the invitation of Sabbath. Ryan said this last week, but the Jesus way, wedded to the Jesus truth, bring about a Jesus life. So Jesus modeled a way with his friends and followers, a way of living that was like antithetical to the systems of the world, to keep going, to get the stuff, the way of the empire. He was speaking to people and living within the Roman Empire, but like Egypt before and our culture today, we're pushed to worship twin gods of acquisition, accumulating stuff, and accomplishment, what I give to the people and show. And for me and for many of us, we don't feel worthy unless we can do one of those things, or we're part of one of those things. It was so important to the story within the Torah, the Old Testament section, that even in Deuteronomy 5 is the second time they did the 10 Commandments to a new generation. I don't know if you know, there's 2 times in there. 10 Commandments are listed and then listed again. And the Sabbath is in that instruction. First time it says just remember the Sabbath, practice, like kind of don't forget. But the second time he adds there's this added little line that says, remember that you were slaves in Egypt and that the Lord your God brought you out with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. He's saying that the society and the culture and the powers that said that you were supposed to stay a slave and stay in the you earn love format, you earn acceptance, you earn value. I pulled you out of that. And he's again pulling us out of that. He wants to pull us out of that. The practice of Sabbath is pulling us out of that slave, I'm part of this, the forces of this world telling me that it's accumulating, it's getting acquisition, getting stuff, it's accomplishment. So in his instruction, remember Sabbath, remember that you were once slaves in Egypt. So for me, as I go through the Sabbath, and for us, Sabbath is an act of resistance, an active resistance. And if you're ever someone who does weightlifting and resistance training or different things, if you want to do something, you step into something, and it's gonna be something that gives resistance or is hard, you probably are getting pushback. You're getting some resistance back to you. So no wonder, like I started at the beginning, trying to practice Sabbath is hard because it's already a resistance against the powers of the world and our own broken journeys to want to earn love. We're gonna hit resistance like, I don't even know what time we're doing it. Andrea, did we plan the meal? Oh, we're fighting over like what we should do that night. We're fighting over Sabbath. We're struggling. What time? Our kids don't even want to be here. This is the worst. This is so restful. I just want to look at my phone. And we're struggling against all of these powers that are circling around our lives. That's why practice of Sabbath is an act of resistance. From the powers of this age and the broken places in me, I'll have external resistance, like simple things, like in my world and your world, there's no model for this. It used to be that they shut the, city down on Sundays. There's no model for that anymore. Like I'm practicing Sabbath on Sunday and like the Amazon truck's spinning by, a guy's mowing his lawn, the car shop is open, like the mall's blasting things. Like there's no model in our society for like this kind of thing. It's gone. That could be one of your resistances. Another one could be this is my wife's one, is FOMO. What happens if you stop and slow down? You'll miss out on something. You gotta live life to the fullest. She's not like that, she's just a little bit, Or that we have this need to be continually connected. We have internal dialogue that I mentioned where we're indispensable. What if I did this? Stuff's not gonna happen. What if I rested or stopped? Something's gonna happen. Or how am I gonna prove that I can earn love? It's not really something you say, but it's really something we do in my head, So today, as we're kind of landing this, and Ryan's gonna come up and give us some practice exercises, some exercises for this week, I wanna invite you. This is how I approach, and this will be something that we would invite to approach this week, of just drawing a line in your life. Sabbath is drawing a line. I say, this is where I draw the line. I do not need to work more hours. I'm thankful for what has been accomplished and what has been left undone. Here's my lines in the sand. I do not need more money. Jesus is ultimately my provider, so I choose trust. Oh, it's hard. I could get a side gig. I could make some money today. I need it. Our family needs it. I'm dispensable to the world. I am dispensable to the world. It is not held together by me. It's held together by Jesus. I do not need a new car. I am more than the sum of my possessions. I do not need a perfect grade or a perfect body or a perfect yard. My value is not in how others view me. I do not need to earn my human father's approval. I already have it from my heavenly Father. I am in a new kingdom with a king who honors and uses my work and my rest to form me into something and someone who can give and receive love. Those for me are a line in the sand, and that's what Sabbath is to us. You will be confronted with circumstances and financial situations and things that would push up against the choice to practice this, and your list might be even much longer than mine, and they pile on each other. Jesus isn't leading us to stick our heads in the sand and be like, oh yeah, I'm just a restful person. It's so good. You know, like I don't work. Like I'm following Jesus more than you because you work. No, there's times we gotta work. That's what he gave us to. But there's not times we have to earn love. He's saying don't earn love. You don't have to earn it. Again, he says, come to me. I will teach you a way to work that is restful and a way to rest that will do work on your soul. Sabbath is my secret weapon in that struggle against those powers of my heart and the powers around me. Go on, Ryan. So we get to partake in it if we choose it. That's it. It's a gift. The Sabbath is a gift that God has given us and invites us into.
Thank you, Andy. Can you guys give him a hand? I think he really earned a lot of accolades and respect this morning. Good job. Would you guys do me a favor? Would you hold one thing in your mind right now that you heard or that the Holy Spirit pinpointed for you this morning as Andy was sharing? You just grab onto that real quick. And do me a favor, one of two things. One, either write that down, or two, just turn to somebody right now and share that with them. What did you hear? What stood out to you this morning? Write it down or share it with somebody next to you. Go ahead. Good job. Take about one more minute. One more minute. Okay. So this week, how are we going to put this into practice in our lives? I want to give you guys a few little steps before we get out of here. And before I do that, I want to point you to a few things. Number one, if you could throw the QR code up there. We have Living Water's Spiritual Formation app, our app. We're using it to continually help us to walk through these steps and to have a spot where we can engage with the things that we're talking about on Sunday. And we're trying proactively, of course, to make this something where we all have access to it. So if you want to take a picture of that, or if you want to access that QR code, also you will find it on the front of the paper that you got as you walked in. It's down there at the bottom. It says practices. You can get to all of this right down there, and you can access it that way. If some of this is new to you, I would invite you to read. There's books back there, Practicing the Way. The Practicing the Way course is back there, super approachable for us to be able to walk it out. Or if you are wanting something a little bit more bite-sized, this is just the Sabbath practice. And so we have that available to you back there if you want to read that and go through that as well. There is the Sabbath practice for you guys. I want to shout out a couple books. Andy mentioned his shadow mission. That may not be something that you're familiar with. I would invite you quickly to become familiar with your shadow mission. If you can't tell me what your shadow mission is, I would invite you to know what it is, because it helps us to understand that what the shadow mission is basically like 2 degrees off of what God has designed us to do. And it looks a lot like what God's designed us to do, but it's sourced and themed differently. And there's a book, I don't remember the title, it has something about shadow, look it up. It's John Ortberg. You'll look it up, it's shadow something. It's awesome. I mean, how much more information do you guys know? You guys know how to use Google? Figure it out. The shadow something. It's a great book. And while you're there, grab the book that he also wrote called Steps. I dare you. Just do it. It's awesome. Okay, so here's our practices for the week. If we are going to practice this, we're going to do first step 1, to prepare for Sabbath. Andy was describing have to prepare for Sabbath. Andy was describing it. If you don't, it will sneak up on you, and that resistance that we're talking about will be right there. Like, no, you can't do it now. You don't have whatever it might be. So you have to choose now to set aside a little bit of time, either the night before or the afternoon leading up to Sabbath, and you prepare. You prepare for it. What do I have to do? Even during the week, what do I have to do to make sure that this block of time that I'm choosing, and we have said this from the beginning, for those of you who are like, Sabbathing weekly feels impossible. I get that 100%. So we're saying, then what would a 3-hour chunk of time in your life look like to begin? Do that for a few months, 3 hours. And after you've done that for a few months, then do 6 hours. And after you've done that for a few months. Understand? We're not asking you to just go, I got this. But no matter how long the length is, you have to prepare. Otherwise, it sneaks up on you. And if it does sneak up on you, just make the best of it anyways. Okay? You guys may have noticed the vibes this morning are a little bit different. I'll tell you why. There's a bunch of ladies that are up at the retreat this week, and there's like 60 of them. And Kim is gone, and Andrea is gone, and Kate is gone. And so last night, I was like, let's do Sabbath. What should we do? I didn't prepare for it. So we broke some rules, and I said to the kids, this is what you're not supposed to do, because you're not supposed to be a taker. But I was like, we're going to Dragon Express. We're turning off our phones. And we're just gonna hang out as a family. Mom is gone, there's no Sabbath meal prepared, but we're still going to Dragon Express. So that's what we did. If I had had a little bit more preparation, I could have probably made it a little bit more intentional. You have to prepare ahead of time. So think right now with me. What is a time this week where you could set aside 3 or 6 or 9, or maybe like from 5 o'clock till 5 in the morning? And you just set that evening aside, turning off phones, turning off TVs, disconnecting from all of the stuff, having a meal together with your loved ones or your community, and just letting the evening ease into rest and going to bed without any of that stuff that Andy was describing of being spun up by tomorrow's emails, tomorrow's tasks. The world is dependent on me. But you have to prepare for it right now. Think about it. What is the time? And how today can you get ready for that? Put it in your calendar. Mark it. Get a meal plan. Get a meal prepared or ready for it so it's in the fridge and you guys can make that meal together as part of your Sabbath. So you have to prepare for the day. Otherwise, it'll sneak up on you. As Andy said, we have to be prepared for, did we do the internal resistance on the next slide? Did we do internal, external? We have to prepare for that external resistance. What are 3 cultural forces that are anti-rest that you want to choose to resist? As Andy was sharing, those things that push against you that say, you have to, you have to, you have to, you have to. No, I don't. This is my line in the sand. Those things are there. They're going to be there as you lead up to Sabbath. They're still going to be there during Sabbath, and they will be there after. But you get to say, I am resistant to it. There will be internal resistance as well. And in that internal resistance, you get to find a quiet, distraction-free place. And you get to come to rest with God. And you get to ask the question, what am I feeling as I rest? What is the lie, the performance, the whatever? What is coming up as I rest? What is the emotion that's coming up as I rest? And don't just recognize and pay attention to what you're feeling as you rest, as you disengage, but ask the deeper question. Where is this sourced? What is the underlying belief that I am experiencing in the way that resting and disconnecting and bringing my life before God is making me feel? What's underneath it? And then the third one, or the fourth one, I guess. Oh, that is it. That is it. I'm sorry. It's finding that quiet and distraction-free place. So the fourth one I was going to say was thinking of where you would go in your life in a physical place that you could get to that puts you at peace, that puts you at rest, where you can disconnect from all the things around you. So as you're looking at that process, these are the practical steps that we would invite you into this week. Can you guys do that? Don't answer me. Let's do this, you guys. I wouldn't be offering you something if I didn't believe that it wasn't life-changing. We're not offering you stuff to add more religious busyness to your life. We believe this, we've experienced it, and we know it. We can tell the difference in our journeys with the Lord when we are practicing it, and we can tell the difference when we start to go, We believe and have experienced this in our own lives, and so we're inviting you guys to do this with us together as a community. And finally, as we close, can you guys grab this doodad that says welcome at the top? On that welcome side, I want to make a note of a couple things before we get out of here. First one under community notes, we deeply value worshiping together as families. And that's why we invite our kids and our middle school students to be in this gathering together as we worship together. But here's our ask, and this is safety, but this is also part of the vision and heart of why we do it. This is the area that our gatekeeping team is moving throughout the building, but our requirement is that whenever there is teenagers who are under the age of 18, they have to be in classrooms where there is at least 2 adults present at all times. And so when you bring your middle schoolers in here or your kids in here, have them sit with you during worship so that you're experiencing that together as a family, first. And second, don't turn them loose to go wherever they want through the building, because there are areas where we do not yet have our adult leaders present. And we want to make sure that we're honoring that expectation of safety for our whole community that says when we have kids who are under the age of 18, that they are being watched and protected by the minimum of 2 adults. And so have your middle schoolers stay with you. Don't just have them wander. If you want to walk with them to grab coffee, come back, sit together as a family. And then when the time is right and our leaders are ready, we'll release the middle schoolers to their classroom. We would deeply appreciate that as we continue to raise kids who are learning to worship Jesus together within this context and as a family. We have 2 upcoming events that are super important that I want you to know about. One is our One Big Youth Night. That is middle schoolers and high schoolers together. That is April 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. That is next Sunday night. It is a blast. Food is provided. Drop them off at 6 o'clock. Our leaders and our teams will be here. We will feed them. We will worship with them. We will teach them, have them break out into groups, play some games. It's incredible and really fun nights that we've put together each month for our youth group to be a part of. So we want to highlight that on April 26th. And then this is massive. This is massive. It's not just for the kids. Our youth fundraiser is May 3rd. That is our bake sale and auction, woo-woo. And it is important, it is imperative for this to work that we come, that all of us come, and that we invite all of our friends and family and grandparents and neighbors and coworkers to come and be a part of this as well, because it's such a blast. Oh, we have it on the timer. So it is May 3rd, 5th annual youth fundraiser and dessert auction. This is so much fun. The kids make all of the desserts except for a few of our professionals that we have secretly invited to make some for us. So it's gonna be rad. And that is on May 3rd. It is 2 Sundays from now. We will be having lunch together. We'll do the lunch. The lunch has a cost to it. And then we will come in here and we will auction off dessert. And all of that money, every single dime that we make goes to sending kids to our youth to their summer camp, so they get to go away together and have just amazing encounters and experiences with one another, with leaders, and with Jesus. And so we want to invite you to mark that and to be here that morning for us. And finally, for those of you who give into Living Waters, we want to close this morning by just making sure that we connect generosity with worship. We thank you so much for pouring into this house. What you give and what you pour in here allows us to do what we do, to build our team, to take care of families, but more importantly, to see Jesus coming and his kingdom and his gospel going out here in this place and around our city through your generosity. And so we just wanted to say this morning, thank you for your worship in how you give generously into this house. There's a QR code there at the bottom, a couple different ways that you can give. If you want to give into Living Waters, we certainly appreciate it. Why don't you stand with me, you guys? Thank you for being a part of this morning, being together with us today. Our hope and our prayer is that the Lord is using these times to form you into a more Christ-like person, into a more Christ-like community. As Andy said, there are hundreds and hundreds of things resisting Christ in you. There are hundreds and hundreds of things that are trying to form you into all sorts of different things other than the most important one, just who Jesus is and who he is to you and in you. And so this morning we bless you as the Holy Spirit continues to form you. We bless you as you step into Sabbath practice this week, even in small ways, that you would experience it without the J curve, that you would step in and just find deep life and rest in it. In Jesus' name we bless you. Amen. Amen. Awesome. Love you guys. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the football game or whatever's on.